We as leaders don't build a framework around, especially at our work. We can't control what people do outside of our teams and our organizations and our businesses, helping people really see progress. And when they see that progress, it begins to snowball and that motivation turns into momentum. So it's very important that we have this one really page goal dashboard, not tasks. Purpose, process, and preparation, the 3 Ps that I talk about when you set an agenda for the meeting. If you do those 3 things, you limit the meeting time, meetings are more beneficial. So that's just one tactic. You are developing yourself, you're developing your businesses, and you're developing your teams. Hey everyone, welcome to the episode today. Here's the truth. Your team isn't losing alignment because they don't care. They're losing it because the world is noisier than ever. Constant notifications, endless meetings, and a culture of busyness really have made focus a luxury. But you as a leader, your real job isn't to out-hustle the noise, it's to create clarity and alignment in the middle of it. So let me ask you this. Is your team busy or are they aligned? In this season, we're diving into how to keep your people motivated, clear and focused in a distracted world so you can build the kind of team that sticks, thrives, and wins together. So let's get started. Think about this. If distraction is the new enemy, then alignment has to be your greatest advantage. And that's exactly what this new season is all about. We're going to help you cut through the noise so your team stays focused, motivated, and moving forward. So this season, we've broken it down into 4 pillars. The first one we're going to talk about is keeping teams motivated despite the external noise. And then number 2, we're going to create clarity of vision so that way your teams don't get lost in that busyness. Number 3, we're going to establish boundaries. And number 4, we're going to build rhythms of accountability and trust. So let's get started today with the first battle that we all face as business owners and as leaders. It's keeping your team motivated. And when the world around them feels chaotic, guess what? They are going to bury themselves in the distractions. So this first topic here is motivation in the noise. And as I was journaling this morning, and by the way, get out your journals, and we're going to start creating a notes for all of our notes page and notes PDF. We're going to send it out. So make sure that you're subscribed. We'll have a link in the show notes for you to get on the list to get these notes, because I know many of you are probably driving. Many of you are listening to us while you're working out. And that's okay, because we don't want you to lose really what the gist, the takeaways that we pride ourselves on bringing you in this podcast. So that is to come. So make sure that you're signed up. So back to motivation in the noise. The world's loud. We got to think about all the things that are going on. When you talk about social media, the news, when you talk about industry changes, our industry is changing faster than ever. AI, right? AI is breathing down all of our necks. And that noise that is so loud, what that does is our teams begin to absorb it. Because if we as leaders don't build a framework around, especially at our work, we can't control what people do outside of our teams and our organizations and our businesses. But what we can control is what we block and what we set up from inside the organization. And those are the frameworks. And we'll get into those, because when we create clarity, that can go through or really make sure people find their way when the busyness comes. So one thing that, I really want to emphasize here is motivation is not just hype. When I use the word motivation, at least when I used to, I would think of Richard Simmons. And I'm dating myself here because many of you don't know who Richard Simmons is, but he was this person who came on TV and he got people to exercise. He got people to move, and he'd do that through yelling at them. He'd do that through really creating hype around how important it was to move your body. And motivation isn't hype. What I wrote down here in my notes for the show was motivation is helping people really see progress. And when they see that progress, it begins to snowball, and that motivation turns into momentum. And that's where we want to get to. So what are some applications here? I got a couple things that I like to do and I like to coach on. One is start meetings with a win of the week. So if you hold your team meetings on a Monday or on a Friday, if you're on a Monday, what was the win of last week? If you're on Fridays, what was the win of the week? It's a great way to get people motivated, thinking about wins, either before the weekend or coming off of the weekend. It's a great way to start or end the weeks. And then the other question that I like to ask, and I do this a lot in my one-on-ones, is one of their most important tasks. And this allows you, because sometimes we're going to talk about alignment, but here's where we get misaligned as leaders and as owners of our businesses is we think something's important that others don't think is quite as important. So this allows you to figure out what your employees, what your team thinks is important, and make sure that you're on the same page with that. 2 applications, great. Motivation in the noise. Those applications are going to help you block that noise out. So motivation without direction, though, is just energy wasted. So what do we got to do? We got to create clarity. And we create this clarity through busyness. So busyness masquerades progress. And what I mean here is when teams don't see a vision, they just stay busy because they got to put in their 8 hours a day or whatever, how many hours their shifts are. So what happens? They don't really feel like they're getting anywhere. And this is a prime example. Today, I felt this way. Today, I was working. I was busy. Like I had meetings, I had tasks that I was getting done. But at the end of the day, I mentioned to my coworker, I said, I don't feel like I've gotten anything done. Like I don't feel like my wheels are spinning right now. Why? Because I really didn't tie into the vision of what we needed to do and what those tasks were accomplishing. And if you felt the same way, either as a leader or as an employee yourself, that's when, again, busyness, we got to have clarity associated with that. So as leaders, we got to cast our visions. Hey everyone, a quick break in the episode today. Are you struggling to find and keep the right employees? You're not alone. High turnover drains time, money, and morale, leaving us frustrated, overwhelmed, and feeling like we have to settle for less. I understand how tough hiring can be because I've lived it. And with over 21 years of building high-performance teams, I know how to turn hiring challenges into lasting employee success. Through my proven lead framework, we're going to analyze your processes, design a personalized strategy, and implement solutions that create confident and long-term results. Don't let turnover hold you back. Choosing this program is that first step towards a thriving workplace. Enroll today at thejohnespinosa.com and build the team you deserve. Imagine a team that works seamlessly together or keep facing the same costly cycle of turnover. The choice is yours. Now back to our episode. What are some applications? 3 questions. You know, I like the rule of 3. Question number 1, does this align with the mission? Does what I'm doing align with the mission? And today I had some things that didn't align with the mission. Number 2, does it drive impact? Do the things that your team is doing, do the things that you are doing drive impact for your businesses and your organizations? And then number 3, is this moving us forward? Does this task move our organization or our business forward? Those are the 3 questions you need to ask yourself. Then the other application I have here, and I got away from my background is in project management. So like I would break down work. And when, just for those of you that maybe are like, what's that, John? Take a task. And I'm just going to use the example of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. The task of making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, we would break it down. So you got to go to the cupboard, you got to get bread, you got to get a knife, you got to spread the peanut butter on one side, you got to do the jelly on the other side. You see where I'm going here? What happens though, when we break things down at the task level, people just get busy and they forget what the actual goal of making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich was. That's to feed us. That's sustenance. That's because we're hungry, right? So instead of breaking things down by task, what I've done, and I love marker boards. I got a big marker board in my office. And what I do is I just write the goal. Even here in my podcast room in the studio, I have goals written up there and I bucket them. So I got a big goal of maybe marketing. I got a big goal of deliverables. I got a big goal for my coaching programs. And each one of those, I have things that I'm doing not to the task level, but every week I revisit that and I move the priority around. So what I'm doing, I understand. I answer those 3 questions when I'm writing things up there. When I write something up on the board, does it align with my mission? Does it drive impact? And then the third one, is it moving our business forward? So it's very important that we have this one really page goal dashboard, not tasks. So that's the clarity of the business. But, clarity only works for our teams and our businesses if we have the space to accomplish that. So this last one we're going to talk about is digital boundaries and rhythms. And last season, season 18, was all about boundaries. So go back and listen to that. In this particular season, we're going to really get into how boundaries can help us block out that noise, like I said earlier. So what are some things here? Teams and organizations, and I see this a lot when I walk into an organization and they, one of their challenges is, John, we're just not moving the needle. We're busy. Everybody's very focused, but we're not growing. Things aren't really happening like we planned them to happen according to plan. So I pull up calendars. I start looking first at the leader's calendar or the business owner's calendar, and then I'll go down the stream. So their direct reports or a team lead. And a lot of times what I find is the calendars are full of meetings. They're sending messages, like they work everything through emails. So what do you got to do? You have to either attend meetings, and if you're in a meeting and you're fully present, guess what's not getting done? The work of the team. So my recommendation is, does this meeting need to be 60 minutes? I don't know where we got this default of 60 minutes. Like whether it's in Microsoft Outlook or our calendaring applications, whatever that looks like, 15 minutes I found is around the sweet spot for meetings. It allows people to focus. It allows people to get what they need done in the meeting. And again, purpose, process, and preparation, the 3 Ps that I talk about when you set an agenda for the meeting. If you do those 3 things, you limit the meeting time, meetings are more beneficial. So that's just one tactic. But again, they're full of hour-long meetings, and half the meeting is spent figuring out what the meeting's about in the first place. Are you there with me? Have you been there? Yeah. So again, teams drown in meetings and messages. Boundaries create freedom. And rhythms create alignment. I used to play the drums when I was in not medical school. I didn't go to medical school. I failed that, but that's for another story. When I was in middle school, I played the drums into the high school, but we were the rhythm. If we got off, guess what? It sounded really weird. So rhythm creates alignment. When you have rhythm, when everybody is firing, when they need to fire, alignment occurs. So what are some applications? When we go back to the meetings issue, I always recommend create no meeting blocks. Now, I'm not a big fan of no meeting days because there are some organizations and some leaders that have implemented that. I personally, myself, a day without a meeting, I think even if it's a 15-minute meeting, like I feel disconnected, but that's just how I run my businesses and my organizations. So I spread my meetings across where my energy time is, normally between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. That's when I normally have my short meetings or my team meetings or my weekly check-ins, right? But create no meeting blocks. So maybe Monday morning you block out that time, or Friday afternoon you block out that time. I always like to do a Wednesday afternoon block out time. I don't know why. It just feels right. It's fit into my schedule. So Wednesday afternoon, I have a no meeting block. It's the middle of the week. It allows me to kind of catch up from Monday and Tuesday and look forward to Thursday and Friday. I work a 5-day week. And then it just works for me, but find that sweet spot for you. And then the second one is 5-minute huddles every day. Just quick, hey, do you need anything from somebody? Any challenges, any roadblocks on your projects? And then have your weekly one-on-ones. So those are weekly. The 5-minute huddles are daily. That's a great way to set up a rhythm for your organization. And once you begin to set that rhythm, because at first it's going to seem like it's cumbersome. I told you to take off your meetings and you're going to be adding meetings, the one-on-ones, but just for your direct reports, just for the people or the team leads or whoever, is reporting to you, have those weekly one-on-ones, the conversations. And then for a 5-minute huddle, that's your whole entire team. And everybody, once you start those, everybody's going to get into that rhythm, and that's going to create alignment. Things are going to get brought up before they get into big problems or create bigger problems for your team, your business, or your organization. So those two things alone are going to set the boundaries and create the rhythm that you're going to need to sustain and really get us through the noise. So last, I want to leave you with this. 1, challenge, implement one of these. Implement them tomorrow. Don't wait. You can do it today if you're listening to it in the morning. It's important for you to take away something from this podcast. And if you don't, give me a comment down below. I want to know because I want to provide value. And if none of these are working for you, let me know. Reach out. I'll be here to help. So we have talked about how motivation helps create that clarity for the organization. And that clarity is going to allow us to set those boundaries. And if we can do those 3 things, and we're going to talk a lot more, this is just the beginning. So this season, make sure you're subscribed. And thank you if you're still listening with us. It means a lot. And it means that you are developing yourself, you're developing your businesses, and you're developing your teams. I believe in you. Go be great. Talk to everyone later. Bye.